One of the insects that's quite common in the spring is the Harlequin beetle. Now this one actually will overwinter and is active year-round, but it tends to do most of its damage in the late winter, early spring, and it particularly likes the brassica crops, the bok choy and cabbage and broccoli and collard greens, and also ornamental kales and members of that family, although they will move on to other plants like even okra and tomatoes and squash and asparagus given the chance. I've also had them in rather large numbers on the snapdragons. Now they tend to mate and their eggs will hatch into nymphs, and they will be hatching in about 2 weeks normally. But when we get warm weather spells in the late spring and early winter, late winter, they can actually hatch in 4 or 5 days, and that's when you get these populations explosions. So it's important to control Harlequin beetles rather early. When you first see them appear in your garden, you want to get rid of them. They have sucking mouth parts, so they will suck the juices out of your plants, and they'll cause a whitish look on the leaves, and then that will later turn to brown, and they can actually kill very young plants, and older plants are just going to look really stunted and unpleasant, so you're not going to want to eat them. So one of the things I like to do is just remove the plants. If the bugs are really taking over and you're having huge explosions, it just means those plants are stressed and it's time for them to come out. So what you may want to do is remove most of the leaves on the plants so that you can really get to the bugs. Now one thing to look for on those leaves are the tiny little eggs. They're laid in rows, usually in 2 rows, and they're little barrel-shaped black and white eggs, often in clusters of 10 to 13 eggs. A female Harlequin beetle will often lay up to 155 eggs. So you definitely want to remove any leaves that have the eggs on them and crush them and get rid of those in your garden to destroy the population. Now these are very hard to control insects. Sabbadia and rotenone and pyrethrin will kill them, but they also kill a lot of our ladybugs and are harmful for a lot of our beneficial insects. So I don't like to use those products. So what I use is a shop vac. Now you can use a dust buster if you've got a small amount of the insects, but if you've got large populations, you probably want to get a small shop vac. You can actually find some that use a battery. So if your garden is far away from an electrical source, there are shop vacs that can take advantage of the battery and get rid of those bugs too. I generally use the smaller crevice tool, but if you've got a lot of insects on the plant, you may even want to use one of the larger, more wide open nozzles. And once I vacuum up, I also take the filter bag off of the shop vac, and once I vacuum up a lot of bugs, then I drop them into some soapy water or some water that's got some orange oil in it and drown them. I also try to vacuum up eggs as I see them, and then I can put those insects into the compost pile. If you've got heavily infested plants full of the eggs, you may just want to bag them up and put them in the garbage rather than putting them into your compost pile so that you can really control the population of this insect. The harlequin bug is a very short-lived problem in the garden in the spring, so it's not one that you have to worry about all season long, but it certainly can cause a lot of damage when it does arrive. So make sure you look for it and control that insect right away.